Yes, and then what we're basically here to talk about, which I thought would be a little abbreviated, but maybe there are a lot of people here to talk about, I don't know, is 3680 Indian Queen Lane. Just to be clear about 3680, can everyone hear me okay? Good. 3680, this is a project that is under construction and has also requested support for a variance. And they were supposed to be here tonight. That was what we scheduled this meeting really around. But they've asked to come in March, I believe, or maybe later, for reasons that are probably pretty clear to a lot of people who are following the project. So just because the people who are the applicant or their attorney aren't here, if you don't want to stay, that's totally fine. And there'll be another meeting about that project. Like I said, initially the applicant, actually their attorney reached out about scheduling a meeting like they always do. This was a little different because, well, a couple things. The first is, I personally have some mixed feelings because we wanted to still move forward with the meeting, but the applicant isn't here, which just doesn't feel exactly right to me, because I know there's some people who are very concerned about the project, or that's what I've heard, but at the same time, the whole point is that they're supposed to be here. I'm not speaking to these people and what they're doing. So there's that. But I told them we were going to have this meeting, and they're welcome to attend, of course. They will still have to come back for a meeting that's advertised with the city's notification process and the letters to their neighbors and all that stuff. So one of the big issues is that, I don't want to call them one of the big issues. One issue is that the project is under construction currently under a building permit which was secured through zoning that requires commercial on the ground floor. They have requested a variance to have residential on the ground floor. And that would mean that they're trying to change it mid-project, which I think rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Because it's just really not what you're supposed to do, and it brings up questions like, well, why did you do that? Did you think you weren't going to get it, so then you went ahead, and now there's new pressure, and things like that. Then I think there's this issue around, does commercial make sense? And I personally don't know when that was zoned. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to ask a question. So if you could just explain maybe to the room the premise of the initial application. So it had a commercial, it's CMX too. So it had commercial in the first floor.
Right.
But what else was applied for? 3 floors, 2 floors, just the floor, a single floor? Like what was the building permit? What does that say?
3 stories, commercial on the first floor, residential on the floors 2 and 3.
Yes,
Just so you understand, they can do that by right.
Yeah.
If they weren't turned down, they could do that.
I understand.
Coming to the community councils or anything, they had the right to do that. And what Todd was explaining is that in the middle of starting construction, they applied to put residential on the ground floor. That triggered refusal from licensing inspection and brought us to the process.
Could you
You
film
said
it?
it was 4 stories.
4 stories.
That's not my understanding from the permit, but it's been like a month since I looked at it, so that's possible.
It says 4 on the
They
permit.
count the pilot house deck as a fourth,
Okay.
because it
I
is.
think it's 3 dwelling units.
On top of the,
It's 2 dwelling units.
I mean 3 units, commercial, residential. So the project that's in the ground right now is legal with the expectation that the ground floor will be commercial. Yeah, I have a couple more data points, but like, we have to, happy to discuss it.
Is it legal in terms of site coverage at this point, if it stays commercial and residential?
I don't know the answer. You mean with like open space requirement and all that sort of stuff? I don't think
There
open
are
space is.
certain requirements for side yard and overall site coverage and things like that. Is it in line?
I don't have the refusal in front of me, so I forget if they got rejected for that. I mean, I think they have a lot of problems because a couple of the neighbors aren't, I think there's a lot, so they have a potpourri of issues. I don't know that the specifics really matter.
Yeah, they're saying they don't want to come until next month or the following month, but they're continuing to build.
Are they are allowed to continue to go?
Well, unless they're if they're doing something that isn't within the CMX 2.5 code, they perhaps should be stopped until the community has a chance to act on it. Or, because we've had this happen in the past where people have built things and they have been deemed to be illegal after the fact, and they've had to actually deconstruct what they've built.
Right. They did get an egg for the minimum lot height, minimum lot area relative to height, and then the active uses with the ground floor. Thank you, Felicity. Felicity is your neighbor. She's involved in the Slow Store, the other RCO. She's an affected neighbor, so it's nice to see they put their required notification out, although the meeting is no longer valid because they're not here, but this was where that worked.
Felicity is also president of the Slow Store.
Yes, sir.
55 feet sticks in my mind. I think they went right to 55 feet, so I think it may be 4 stories.
I'm understanding that the roof deck was included, but I mean, I grant you that's totally possible.
And what is the definition of empty retail, and why would they get a permit for empty retail?
I don't know the term empty retail. I was trying to read, let me just get to this because I think this is important. There's this question of does commercial, well, so everyone always talks about does commercial make sense and density, and it's like, the age-old discussion for decades, right? So, but my understanding is that there is not consensus, let's call it, that there should or should not be commercial at that location. It's off Ridge Avenue, although near Ridge Avenue, and there is commercial immediately adjacent to it as there is residential immediately adjacent to it. What their attorney said when I asked, in anticipation of them being here tonight, which they're not, I said, can you tell us why you started construction? Because I try to get like a narrative and some identity and just try to get a little color for like the narrative to post and stuff. And I said, can you tell us why you're converting your currently entitled buildings, the commercial on the ground floor, into seeking a variance to get residential on the ground floor? Because to some people, they're going to assume that you went about this not the right way. And the answer was, there's been no interest by anyone to rent it, despite marketing it. Now, it doesn't exist, but that's possible. A commercial use is inconsistent with the character and context of that block. The space is not large enough, tall enough, or otherwise configured appropriately for a tenant to viably operate there, and having a commercial space would create a need for parking, thus impacting the existing parking situation and contributing to overcrowding. I also think that consideration here is that my understanding is that the developer, who I've never talked to ever, is the same person who did the townhomes on Penn Street and wants to do other projects. As far as I can tell, despite like some debate and some troubles that people had around the tree pits were too small, there was a fair amount of debate around the architecture of that got bounced back and forth a fair amount, as it maybe should or whatever. But the guy spent some cash up there, and it appears that he can do successful projects in these falls. So, and I asked the EFDC, some people from the EFDC who I just emailed with, who are currently looking for a new executive director, so I'm not sure that they necessarily should have put tons of time into this or whatever, but I was like, is this a good place for commercial or not? And it feels like the jury's sort of like uncertain about that, I would just say from like the conversations I've had with people. Not saying that's exhaustive, but they're clearly saying that they don't think they can do commercial there, and that's the project they started, and maybe this is the report. I don't want to speak for them. These are some of the speculations.
The question would be why they buy it.
Yeah. And then I just disagree with all of the points that they made there and say the city put a lot of time and effort in changing the zoning code, and they met for many years, 2 years with the community groups about what they wanted to see the zoning be in that area. This community has been bullish for years on revitalizing our business corridor, and that area was discussed at every level. And that was decided that it should be a CMX 2.5 designation because people were concerned that we kind of keep the Main Street feel of that area. So for him to come in here and say that there's not consensus, that should be zoned CMX 2.5
Oh, well,
is.
I wrote what his attorney said.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying, but
I'm
they,
saying.
they sent you, okay, but in my mind, we had plenty of opportunity to go in there and discuss or express, you know, some sort of dissatisfaction with that. And then to say that retail or commercial is going to cause more parking problems on that block is absolutely false. Because people that use the commercial space come there when other people are off to work. It's the people with 3 apartments and maybe 6 people in them with 6 cars or 3 cars or 4 that are going to cause the problems on that block, not somebody that runs an office and leaves at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I just think it's incredibly inappropriate for them to come back after all this time and say that, well, they don't work there. They shouldn't have bought the property. And also they have built, and I think they built on across the foundations in one part.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
they
not
should
really
be
super,
called in to, you know, prove that they're not building on somebody else's land before they go into park.
That property's my property. They're digging on.
Yeah.
So that 3.5 feet, they have to dig into that to build their foundation wall.
And how do you feel about that?
It's coming anyway.
Well,
I mean, they're coming. I mean, am I gonna be a thorn in their side because they're gonna build something? I mean, they've already been permitted to do this. That's been approved.
well.
yeah, but they were approved not to build on your property.
They're not building. They're not building on my property. I gave them permission to dig onto my property because they have to build that foundation. I understand the semantics
I
of.
wasn't talking about your property.
Hey, Carolyn, what helped me is that I made the mistake of not reaching out to you directly. But it would help, I think, to get a consensus from the development corporations, because I emailed with some of your colleagues, and there's this firm view on it doesn't exist from some of them. And when the gentleman comes back here, I think it would be helpful to be able to say with some clarity what the development corporation believes about it, because
It's not, I'm not speaking for the development corporation, I'm speaking for the process we went through to determine that 2.5, CMX 2.5 was the appropriate designation for that.
That was the strategic overlay that we all worked on as zoning committee. Sorry, Jesse.
Yeah.
And we did that together as a community. You were there.
I understand that. I thought that you were saying that the development corporation would just
No,
help
I'm
tap
not
out.
speaking for this, I'm just speaking for somebody that actually sat in on most of those community meetings over a period of 3 years.
So I just-
And listened to people's, you know, opinion about it. So I find it just really hard to accept that they have come in and started to build with one thing in mind, and then all of a sudden they want to change it.
Yes, sir.
I have a question and then some comments. So they are building right on the property line. It's about 1,000 square foot small lot. If they get the variance to be residential, are they allowed to, I guess, build right on the property line?
I have to double check that, which would be, to do a really good job. I just want to look at the code personally, which is what I would do, and maybe someone who would into that off the cuff.
I've already been told that they're violating the land use. I've already told them.
But they're not, but they're not violating the land, they're not violating, I don't want to speak for this person, this is why I was a little hesitant to move forward with the meeting without them there, but until they are not building commercial, they're not violating the plan. They can move forward and build a space that looks like this with a sink and whatever other things are on their plan, and like they've got a permit. And I personally am not going to we have to find the right path as a group, because the days of just beating those folks up, I'm just personally I can't be part of it. So
Let me just say
we have
that
to
there
find a
are
good path.
side yard requirements for residential properties. I know because I live on the street where they built, well, you know, those 5 townhomes, and there are side yard requirements there that require a variance.
Yes, sir.
So there's 4 adjoining properties, 3 more in addition to yours. Mine is one of them at East Falls Eye Associates on Ridge. The back of my property abuts the project. They did not have permission to knock the retaining wall down or to excavate property. And photos that I have appear that footers are on, they appear to be on my property. So those are some concerns I have.
You like stay in touch with them and.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not going well.
I wouldn't say that. It's amicable, but it's still playing out. I guess I just need to know, are there precedents for this kind of activity? And I got a business card from this developer, from their project manager. Actually, I didn't, my staff did. I don't know where the card is. But there really was no communication about the way that this all played out. So I just think it's wrong and have concerns about it. And what kind of precedent, is this a precedent, or is this okay? I mean, does this happen, and are we setting a precedent here for the other, green postage stamps that we have in East Falls?
That's always like our list, but it seems to be really used a lot. I think on the construction stuff specifically, it's really not for like a community forum. Like, you've got a business, thank you for investing in East Falls. You've got a business, this guy has a business, he's encroaching on your property without permission, he's building on your property. There's a dispute over construction, happens all the time. Councilman's chief of staff is here. You should make sure that as it relates to the construction that's happening, that's legal, and that we couldn't stop unless we treated some really devious ways to try to do so, which would be, I don't think, the right thing to do. Like, you have like a very legitimate set of agreements. This is why I'm asking about like the report, because like it's possible that all these.
Yeah, I haven't said encroachment. I haven't said that the footers are on my property. I'm just presenting what I think are facts and how it's played out for me. As I've been here 14 years and love the neighborhood, want to move my office to a larger spot in the neighborhood. So when you're planning those kinds of things, you want to know what kind of activity goes on, what's allowed to go on, what maybe shouldn't be going on.
Sounds like some of the construction activities haven't been super major. But you could really, there's, I guess an open question is, when they come here asking about support for the variance, are you inclined, or people, or you specifically, you have to answer, but are you inclined to oppose the variance request because of them treating you as not a great neighbor during the construction?
No, that wouldn't be a fair relationship. I'm against it because of what Carolyn said. Possibly 6 cars there, where it's already it's a density issue. There's plenty of other properties, I guess, to improve, and the big projects can be new development. But I don't think we're going to stop the project. I just need to voice my concerns of what I think was not playing out quite in the right way.
Well, the variance request is definitely not playing out ideally, that's for sure.
The question regarding the space is different, residential and commercial. You see like 2.5. You have a 5-foot side yard if you use it, but if you don't use it, there's no requirements for side yards. The backyard is 10% or 9 feet, and there's 75% occupancy, and I think that unless they change the footprint on the new plan, we're still, they don't meet all the requirements. But if they didn't change the footprint, I would do the plan, so.
Yeah, I don't have a plan, that's something else, but it's clear that, like, we don't have any plans or guidance on it. It feels like they need more time. But the project's under construction, under the first permit, so it's a little bit of a unique situation. Assuming they're really watching something. Josh, have you had any complaints in your office about the project?
I have not.
Can you guys link up afterwards, because Josh will be really effective and communicator for the concerns that we have about the actual construction and safety and stuff like that. It's also on an embankment, so with the weather this fall, it's a steep area, so I would imagine it's still a complicated construction site too. I just want to be mindful about that personally.
Next door.
Not Fourth Street, but uphill.
Third, yes.
And your experience, do you want to talk about the project, I'm assuming you're approving.
I've talked to the project manager. I mean, he's been pretty cordial with me. Stuff started happening. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna have to dig our, the footers, or we're building the foundation." And he's like, "I haven't had to move my cars out of my, the little drive that I have there." And later on, I had, in the future, I planned on trying to build extending over that area as well. So it kind of, they beat me to the punch. They pulled these permits at about the same time I was buying that property next door. But I mean, it's a little bit of an inconvenience, but I mean, it's construction, so I mean, I understand that there's going to be some kind of inconvenience for
You don't
neighbors.
sound terribly troubled about the land.
I mean, I didn't know what kind of development was going to go there. Is this, is this low income housing? Is this what, but it sounds like it's, they're on, that's not what they do. That's not their MO. Retail, I don't know what you're going to put, you've got up on Conrad, you've got an owner that has a big space that's been vacant for a long time. It's not as wide. You really can't put a restaurant in there. There's one that used to be the coffee shop next to the hairdressing place. What are you going to put in that small little spot? I don't know what you're going to use that for.
So I think it'd be, since this site is so challenged and small and really built out to all the edges, I think it would be really wise for the committee, when they do actually get a presentation, to question usage around the property for things like trash, things like air conditioning units. Like, where's all this stuff going to go if you're 100% build out? It's going to be like right out front on the sidewalk. They have a move out situation with tenants. What's going to be there: a mattress, a sofa, half the contents of the apartment. Move in situation next week, same kind of thing, all the boxes and everything. And it's going to just be blown right down into the Midvale Avenue corridor, and just littering things up. We already got enough of a trash problem. And if they can't be resourceful, when you're using a small site and you're really challenged, you have to really think out the logistics ahead of time of how tenant occupancies are going to be using that site. You can't just say, "Oh, okay, I got this building and I got this square footage and I'll just shove people in there and they'll self-manage and everything's fine and I'll just collect rent at the end of the month." That just doesn't happen. So
I'm not saying I disagree, I just am wondering, and that's worse if it's residential and ground floor.
I think it's a challenge for residential and commercial. I mean, depending upon what let's take a great look at a building that zoning committee approved a long time ago. George Fritz's old building up there on Conrad Street. And ever since the commercial occupancy started on the first floor, the trash bins were on the side of the building right by the gate, and it was just horrific. I mean, there was a trash pile there for like a year, okay, besides having a dumpster there, okay? So, there was a lot of challenges, and it took the landlord to finally oh, okay, I got this unsightly thing, and probably a lot of his neighbors complaining and whatnot, that finally changed things around and straightened it up. And it's still a little unsightly. I mean, there's still a trash problem there because he only gets a 2-yard container and, expects the whole building to use that. Well, if you have 3 residential occupancies, you can more or less assure that there's going to be 1 trash can for each one of those and 1 recycling bin for each one of those, and that's, if they got 12 feet of frontage, well, that's 10 feet of those 12 feet right there. They're going to be in the doorway almost. So.
All right, thanks. Just
Yeah.
one. All right, thanks. Just one editorial comment, because I don't know if we've ever met, but as far as I'm aware, no one's approving anything.
No,
I
get that, yeah.
You either write a letter that says, "You support this, no opinion," or "We don't support it," and then.
You wanted comments,
That goes to
Giving
the
you
ZBA.
comments.
The ZBA approves 80% of variances. So just to be very clear to everyone in the room, and we've had some like really frustrating projects that prove this out. There's sometimes is the case where discussing changes to the proposal are better than flat out trying to say you reject it and don't support it because it can end up getting approved and be maybe less good than some type of negotiated outcome. That's possible, but I have no idea if that would work them, so just saying that.
Another concern is the back door. When I looked at the plans, I believe
You
there's
have
about,
the plans?
yeah, and a survey.
Okay, because I didn't have it. I didn't know.
They're available in Atlas.
What's that?
They're available in Atlas.
That's okay.
So there's a 1.5-foot setback from the back door, which basically, is going to put them back onto 4th Street Cookies property. If they decide to build a fence there to keep people from cutting through to 8+ or fire escape or whatever, there will literally be a fence of 1.5 feet in front of them. Is that a fire escape? No trash cans will fit back there.
Are you talking about the rear yard setback?
The rear yard
Just saying
setback.
that you usually have to have at least a 9 foot.
Yeah, that's 9 feet, not 9
I
inches.
think that's just.
I'm talking about like when you get out of the door, the property
In the
has about a
backyard.
1.5 foot.
I think that's just a line showing where they have to have at least a minimum of 9 foot setback. Like, it's on building line, it's not the property line is actually back here. That line in front of it is just a rear yard setback line, so it's required 9 feet.
Yeah, they've got 9
And then there's 1.5 feet beyond that to the back of the building. But the first 9 feet of that is just saying that the backyard has to be at least 9 feet and showing where that 9 feet land.
So how much land, like ground, is there outside of that back door?
Looks like there's like, 10 foot 3.
And I don't know if they can, I'm curious if that's retaining wall, like, because it's steep.
Well, that retaining wall also got destroyed. Yeah, I think that's gonna need to be fixed or whatever.
Is anyone from 4th Street Cookies here?
I would be able to sniff them out by now.
Because I understood there was like some construction company. Well, it's very clear that these folks should come back to the group like that. What are some other concerns or ideas? What do people want to make sure is heard or said between now and the official meeting?
I'm concerned about parking, there's no provision for parking for residents. And then I have a question and an issue about retail, because
Could you go down?
retail is more and more going online, and stores are hurting. We'll just have one more empty space on the ground floor. You see all these, the building that the back is in, is here now. There's nothing there. I've been all over the country, any new buildings, they have retail on the ground floor, apartments above, they all sit empty. I don't understand this business of wanting retail space.
It's like a pretty big effort to have more commerce along the avenue, but.
Well, actually, I just did a count of the storefronts in Aurora, Business Park, Ridge Avenue, Evendale, and Conrad. We have 86 storefronts, 74 of which are occupied with 12 vacancies now. And among the vacancies are like the tap room, which will be, I'm sure these stuff are sold and open again very shortly. So business is coming from that. We have these big residential properties going on. I'm assuming the kind of people that live in there are the kind of people that want walkable, sustainable neighborhoods, and they look for places that have services that they can walk to. A lot of the businesses that are opening along Ridge Avenue are health and wellness kind of things, small yoga studios and things like that. They're not dress stores or the kind of retail we were used to as kids. They're places that people go to get their eyeglasses, to get some tea, whatever. So as we have Jefferson University coming up at the top of the hill, they're making more and more of these types of businesses moving here. And I think they're popular with the kind of young people that are living in neighborhoods like ours. So to kind of think that, well, you know, we can't rent retail, I think is a little bit of the times, because I think it's going on now.
Just a question, when you do talk to them, can you ask them, because it looks like on Atlas that they have a date for March 2019? So
Date for,
when they put in their zoning and it got, shot down, there's a date listed on Atlas. So can you just confirm if they already have a date set on?
oh, for the ZBA?
Yes.
Right,
Can
yeah,
you
that's
just-
back end of the process. I mean, yes, I operate in on good faith with this stuff, because like frankly, like, who's checking on stuff?
No, just understand, just so for clarity, because
Yeah. I mean, they have to come here before they go to the ZBA for someone to do dramatic things. Yeah. I'm hoping that is like, the guy's name is Ron Patterson from Claire, and he's been here before. So I'll make sure they don't go to the ZBA without a permission.
Sure. Legally, they can't.
that was 13.
They don't have enough. They're not here.
Other questions? Did I understand that the parents for street cookies are here? Is that just that?
March 6th. So if they have till March 6th.
Can I take pictures?
So
All right. Well, so the way to get in touch with me is zoning@eastfallscommunity.org.